Now to the impact of a government shutdown. A shutdown could hit military families especially hard. Last week, Blue Star Families conducted a poll about this issue, reaching over 600 respondents, and 54% of those respondents said they would be greatly impacted if a shutdown were to happen. Joining us now is Kathy Roth-Douquet, the CEO of Blue Star Families. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Can you give me a sense and give our viewers a sense of just how close to the edge some of these military family members are living when it comes to being forced to forego just one paycheck?
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. And really, the threat of this government shutdown is crushing and discouraging to most. And it's because people who serve in the military, and by extension their families, they're willing to set aside a lot of rights of citizenship and accept a lot of risk. And we do that because we love our country and because there's an enemy that's threatening us. And what's very discouraging is when the threat of harm comes not from the enemy, but from our own U.S. Congress. And that's right. We know from our surveys that 1 in 3 military families have less than $3,000 in savings. So if you miss one paycheck, you don't have enough savings to cover your rent, to cover your daycare, to cover your food. And that's a place that we should never be putting our military families in.
Yeah, because they're forced to continue to do the job just without getting the pay. I do want you to listen to Republican Congressman from Tennessee, Andy Ogles, who seemed a bit nonchalant about the prospect of a government shutdown. Let me let you listen to that.
At the end of the day, leadership procrastinated and created a mess. Now we got to find our way through it. And if that means staying a couple extra weeks with the shutdown, that's fine.
He says that's fine. I mean, what do you think of his statement? And there was another statement that another Republican congressperson made saying basically that, look, they're going to get back pay, almost like it's not that big a deal. What do you think about that?
It is a very big deal. A lot of military families are young families. Many military families are unable to field that second income that most middle class and working class people need because they move so often over and over again. They get that broken time. So families are on the edge. I got a text yesterday from a young enlisted spouse that I know. Her husband's an E-Force junior soldier. Missing one paycheck for us means we can't buy groceries. We can't feed our animals. We can't pay our bills, which includes our rent, which means we could lose our apartment. It's very important for us to get my husband's paycheck because we can't go 2 weeks without it.
That is a really stark and worrisome email that you got. I do want to ask you, what do these families do? Because these shutdowns have happened in the past. The last one was during the Trump administration. It went on for quite some time. What do they do?
You know, it's a great amount of distress. There is a bill in Congress right now. Congresswoman Kiggins from Virginia has a Pay Our Troops Act. We urge Congress to pass that. When the troops aren't paid, they look for emergency aid. We have to ask our neighbors and our employers to understand the situation we're in and to try to help us out. But the long-term effects of this is that we are hearing, and in that Pulse poll you mentioned, 54% said they'd be greatly affected, but 85% said that they would be somewhat to greatly affected. Wow. Those folks are also telling us that they're considering leaving military service. So it's not just about back pay. It's about, are people going to be willing to continue to serve when they can't trust their civilian leaders to have their backs?
I just want to lastly ask you, if you could sit down with all of Congress and send them a message, what would you say to them?
Do your job. The people in the military put themselves in tremendous risk to do our job. All we want you to do is do your job, pass the budget, do not shut down the government. Let us protect the country unmolested.
Kathy Roth-Douquet, that was a good way to end things. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on.